Welcome to the American Made and Paid Show, the home of free speech and independent thought.
The big story is freedom of speech is really in trouble. The far left knows that at any time they can call for a sponsor boycott of anyone they despise.
It is right here, right now, where you'll get your weekly dose of unfiltered truth.
It's non-negotiable. Pre-existing conditions will be protected. This president has said this as a candidate.
Insight.
Very few people I know could have handled it. We can never, ever let this happen to another president again.
And information that challenges the American way of life.
Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the American Made and Paid Show. I am your host, Zach King. I got Professor Dreg with me, as usual, where we just converse about a lot of contemporary topics. I mean, we kind of outlined a lot of our political beliefs, the spectrum, and kind of shot around about the history when it came to progressive history in the last week. So today I thought we'd kind of change it up a little bit. So something that I covered a little bit earlier on my channel was the fact that young people just have a problem with dating in general. And I don't know, Dreg, if you've heard about this, where there's a phenomenon regarding young men who would actually rather spend more time on the internet, play video games, and sex dolls. That's actually a big now. Which I don't know how.
I got a question. Are we conversing or conversating?
Converse about it. What are your thoughts on that?
No, because it's like because somebody told me a long time ago, like this is like a street thing, like conversate, like man, I want to conversate with you, like seriously, like we're sitting in a night court, dude. If you go to night court in the city, nothing but blacks. It's 100%. Oh, maybe there was like one Asian dude. Oh, dude, it's insane. But anyway, so you know when you said conversing, I was like, hey, you know what? That's something we did not learn. Like most
conversing. I've always said that. I might be wrong.
They say I want to conversate.
Oh.
No, but that's not a word. It's conversing. So it's little things I noticed from like cultural differences between Asians, blacks. I don't know if that's a cultural.
No. I mean, it could be a cultural thing. But I mean, what are your thoughts on that? About a lot of young people who aren't really getting out there. They're not dating, and they certainly aren't getting laid.
No, I have no idea about why young people aren't dating, but I do. I've seen this one commercial. Well, it's for a testosterone booster.
Yeah,
they're saying like, your father had more testosterone than you, and his father had more testosterone than him, and by every generation each male is having less testosterone. I don't know if that's true, but if that's true, that would explain a lot and why young kids aren't dating as much.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's just specifically tied to men, all right? I think a lot of women are actually having a lot of those issues too. It could be the overinflation of the dating culture where you're just exposed to a sheer amount of volume. But one of my theories that I talked about in a recent video of mine was the fact that it's not just like dating apps where it's just like strictly based on the superficiality of people's images. But the big thing I talked about was actually porn. And I think that young people are addicted to porn, which is why they're not, getting out there for reals and they're not dating each other. And the feedback was good. It was a little bit mixed, but like, what do you think? I think that right now it's like,
how do we know for sure that young people aren't or fornicating? How do we know this?
We got to make sure we cut that out, man, because like I learned that if I got to put this on iTunes, it has to be as clean.
Can't say the F word. Fornicating. How do we know young people are not fornicating?
Well, because there's a lot of articles out there. And they've done some sociological studies here, which I will actually pull up. The Week had an article where they actually entirely talked about how 15 to 20% of like 24-year-olds have not had sex since turning 18. And like whether this is tied into religious values or not, there's also been a lot of people who have been very sexually frustrated and frustrated in general with dating. And I feel like they're all sort of tied into each other. I had theories around it, and I was blaming not just social media, but also pornography as being one of the main reasons for why that is. Because you're just exposed to a sheer amount of volume. I mean, there was just this recent article in Maxim. I don't know how trustworthy that is, from a couple of weeks ago, where about 28% of men, right, between the ages of 18 and 30 are reporting no sex in the past year. So these are all
That's BS, dude. Maxim, not trustworthy.
well. This is from the Washington Post, which you could argue on the trustworthiness.
Not trustworthy.
But let's talk
20%.
about
Wait, 28% of all men at what ages?
between 18 and 30, according to this.
No, that's so are they saying it's because of porn, or is that you saying?
No, that's me saying that, and I want to know what your thoughts are. Like,
okay, well,
why
it's
is
definitely not because of porn. So if this is just from what I know of porn is very aggressive and it leads to violence. So if you're watching porn, you're more likely to be that dude that's gonna do date rape and doing the Bill Cosby scene. No, but it's the truth. It's putting a little date rape thing in your drink because your mind is warped when you watch porn. I mean, everybody knows this. Any person who, well, we'd have to really do research or just look this up. Maybe the National Health Institute has studies on this. Just like really good schools, and I hate to use this, but, studies out of Harvard, like the Ivy League or whatever, like those type of studies, you'll see that porn really does lead to violent behavior. And if everybody's addicted to porn, then, sex is considered a violent act, so it just doesn't, like 28% is a huge number. If everybody's addicted to porn,
right?
So you have to ask yourself, what other behaviors are they engaging in? Are they fist fighting, or and that's not happening. There's nobody fist fighting in the streets. It's not like 20, 30 years ago when people were using their hands. And that's the thing. I wouldn't blame it on porn, but I would blame it in lack of aggression. I don't see kids using their hands anymore. Seriously, when was the last time you seen a fist fight on the streets?
Well, it certainly doesn't happen. But according to Fight the New Drug, which is a bit of a news publication that I subscribe to, and I'll evaluate a little bit more on my thoughts on this. I've read a lot of their content, right? And I do believe that there is a danger in consuming pornography, not just because it dehumanizes people, but it gives us the false impression of things that aren't real. So, not all porn is going to feature physical violence, and even nonviolent porn has shown to just kind of create unrealistic expectations in our heads. And the thing is, I mean, I can't speak for women. Women do struggle with porn too, but for men, what I will say is this: it's not something that we are naturally used to as far as our brain. Like, think about it. Kids discover porn at 12 or 13 years old now because of how accessible it is in online formats. Let's also not forget that back in the day, and I can't believe I have to say it like this, back in the day, you had to sneak around. You had to have like an older brother or whatever give you a magazine and stuff. You don't even have to do that anymore. And kids have cell phones. So it's a lot easier.
You guys lived a very, very sheltered life. I was first exposed to porn when I was like 8 years old, God, I remember it was at this dude's house. He was a really famous boogaloo dancer, and then he had a DJing group called Suave Brothers.
Yeah.
So we went to his house and they were showing it, like 8mm porn. And it was like, I freaked the fuck out. I freaked the fornicate out. I was like, whoa, what? Because that's not something you want to see. It's like, yeah. And ever since then, I never liked it. It's kind of like smoking for the first time. You try a cigarette as a kid. You don't want to do it. But interesting, I'm on that Fight the New Drug, and there's this thing about 10 things you should know about. Wait, it says porn kills. But either way, so but here's the thing about porn. See, porn itself might not be violence. It's not like a snuff film or something like that.
Yeah.
But just how people have sex, that's not realistic. In real life, people don't, you don't pin a girl's legs behind her ears, just start drilling it like you're drilling for oil, that just doesn't happen.
Right.
It's you just, you just don't do the ground and pound like the way they do in porn and stuff like that. It's just not realistic. So, and that's why it leads to violence, because when you're really, if that's how you have sex, like the way they do in porn, there's no way that you're going to have a normal brain, because nobody wants to get pounded like that. You know, it's just how it works. It's like, you know, I don't want to say like women want to be, you know, all gentle and things like that. Don't get me wrong, because some do. They enjoy, you know, some physicality. They want to feel something, you know, but they don't want to be drilled where they're like a gymnast and just, you know, you just hear that in the background.
I know it's not realistic. It's also not healthy. But the thing is, even people who are so-called Christians and non-Christians, like it affects every single one of us, which is why I talk about it a little bit more extensively, because like if you're a young guy, like unless you are completely like, I don't know, 90% of young men struggle with this. It's like probably even more than that. I think I just kind of threw that number out there. But back to what you said in the beginning, you talked about how people who consume it are actually more likely to use verbal coercion, drugs and alcohol to coerce people into having sex. It turns people into Bill Cosby. And I don't think that that's overly exaggerated, because that was something that a lot of these advocates against pornography actually talk about. Like, you know, that's crazy to be able to tie it in, but we've seen more of a rise in aggressive behavior that have been carried out in the way it manifests with physical violence because of that fact. So,
well, let me cut you off for 1 second, because you're on a good roll. But before we go into this tangent, but think about it like this: sex is just like hunting. And you know, but it's how it works. I mean, it's just like hunting. It's you are literally hunting down somebody. And if it's true that young men are not dating, it really is. I believe it's not because of porn. I honestly believe that maybe there's some truth to that testosterone levels going down and men just not knowing how to hunt. And you know, it's just
you're kind of right, because I talked about this too, and I was on a stream a couple days ago where I talked to Tree of Logic and a few other people about, is dating dead, right? And the thing is, men, that was a rite of passage. You had to go out, experience rejection. You had to essentially hunt for a partner. But the thing is, men aren't doing that anymore, right? And the dating apps have created a false sense of opportunity because you're exposed to a lot of people in close proximity. But that's a false sense of opportunity. You're not actually doing any work, and you're not even meeting people on the basis of common interests or values. So it gets very, very easily conflated with, I got to be on these apps because I'm going to be missing out. It's like, no, you're actually going to become more isolated, because here's the thing too. If you're not attractive and if you don't have good photos, you're not going to get anywhere. And I think that you combine that, and you also talk about the immediate satisfaction, the excitement that comes with the easy intimacy of accessing porn, which is all artificial. Like, that's the reason why people are having a lot of difficulty right now. And dude, also here's the thing that's absolutely irrefutable. It's like, if your partner is using porn a lot and you're in like some kind of committed relationship, it's going to divide you. I don't want to even sound overly preachy, but that's absolutely true. Like, your brain is on overdrive, and the more you masturbate, the lower your testosterone levels also go. So
really? I did not know that.
Well, because here it's all moderation, right? I'm not saying if you masturbate, you're gonna like lose all your testosterone, because you're supposed to when you actually engage in real sex. But the thing is, we're not talking about like once a day or once, you know, we're talking like these people who are addicted to porn. It's like 5-6 times a day. You got no energy left.
No, but even, God, I hate to, man, because you really touched a button there with me.
Well, let's talk about it. That's why we do this show.
Like this, I don't believe masturbation is normal. I really don't.
You don't believe it's normal? Okay, you have to explain yourself.
Because okay, so I remember, and this is not, but people, okay, so there's a reason why people say that I you know, that masturbation is not normal for me. It's like, dude, you had so much sex that you didn't need to masturbate. And I was like, well, no, that's not necessarily true. The first time I tried, I was 19 years old. And I thought, this is the stupidest thing I ever did in my life. You know what I mean? It's like, I never had any desire to do it. And I don't think, like, my friends didn't do it either, because I remember there was a teacher that we had in elementary school. He was, you know, and he looked so big. But I guess when you're small, like, you know, like in the 5th grade, yeah, everybody's tall. So anyway, so when we seen this guy, he was refereeing, like he was one of the starters at our track meet. And so now we're in high school, and he goes, and he made a joke, like a masturbation joke. And then it went over our heads because we didn't do that kind of stuff. And so then, and we were seniors in high school, not like freshmen. We were seniors in high school. And then me and my teammate, they go, did Mr. Blank make a masturbation joke? And then we're like, yeah, I think. It's like, and then, you know, he goes, who does those kind of things? And I'm like, I know, that's just so bizarre. Like, why would he think that we do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's just not I don't get it. I honestly never understood the need to, like, just go like, yeah, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me. We just never did it. Not just we, but, you know, like, and I know they're trying to normalize it or this or that or this or that, but I honestly do not know. Or maybe that's why we were so good in sports, because, you know, people say that, like, you know, don't do this, don't do that. But I don't know. It's just, I think they're trying to make it normal so you don't go out there looking for dates, because if you're horny, just go get somebody or try to get somebody. You know what I mean?
And this is something that we can go into a million different directions about. Like, again, because of my, like, Christian beliefs, right? Dude, like, here's the thing. A healthy sense of sex, masturbation, pornography, like, this is stuff that was, like, off limit. Like, there were no fly zones. So your parents didn't tell you about this stuff. And it's like, if you even had more liberal parents that were just like, whatever, sex, ha ha ha, like, at least you were in a position where you could talk about it. And I think that the reason why people like me and a lot of other people are just like coming to terms that we all have a porn problem, because I do. I mean, it's like a lot of men out there and women do, is because of the fact that it was really repressed. I know, but you know, we're working on it. It's like, it's just really, really repressed. And the thing is, I'm not completely blaming it just on ourselves, because our culture has made it a custom. Like, it's funny because older people are just like, dude, like you listen to 60-year-olds, right? Old timers are like, man, everybody's naked. Like I heard one old dude I was talking to. He's like, back in the day, like, it wasn't like this. Like, everything has become sexualized. Your TV shows, your advertisements, right? Dude, you watch a Coors Light commercial, it's like a half naked, and like, it's really funny because it came from an old guy. He's like, dude, everybody is naked now. There's like no one's wearing.
No, that's true.
Like, and it was really kind of like funny and ironic, but it kind of came off like very innocently, because it's like this older guy, but he's like, why is everybody naked? And
no, but it's the truth.
So comment on this too. Somebody left some feedback on one of my videos and said that, could masturbation and pornography be normalized and introduced into our mainstream to prevent people from reproducing? Or could it be also a way of dissuading people from thinking clearly? Because that's what it does. Like,
well, see, that's
kind of tearing people apart.
That is very good. Whoever wrote that comment, that's
dude, because it's destroying relationships. And what are relationships, right? We talk about the nuclear family. We talk about monogamy, right? Like, here's the thing. I have kind of gone through my own process of being introspective and thinking. And I think that, like, if porn wasn't in my life, I would be a lot more. Here's the thing. You're not going to be, productive. Yeah. I'd be working harder. I'd probably get more done. I don't think depression and mental illness that we dig ourselves in our heads would be as prevalent, because it's an easy fix. And I think the big thing here is that it's an invisible addiction. It's an acceptable addiction, as in, like,
yeah, see, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Everybody thinks that masturbating is normal, but it's not. It's just, I'm telling you now, it is just as bad as watching porn. It's because, think about this, and and I think we talked about this before, when Jesus said something about divorce, that if you have dirty thoughts, then your wife could have get a divorce too, because you just committed adultery.
Well, that's a little bit twisted. What he meant was, like, if you already look at a woman lustfully, you've already committed adultery in your own heart. We don't have to get overly
no, but think about that. Hold on, let me cut you off for a second. Think about what you just said. That's what you need to masturbate. You're not masturbating to flowers. You're masturbating. Oh, I'm hoping you're masturbating to women, but no, I mean, if you're doing it to dudes, it don't matter to me. I don't care. I mean, honestly, it don't matter. But if you're masturbating, you have dirty thoughts. I never heard of a guy masturbating. Go, oh, look at those tulips. Those tulips are so hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. It's always to something that's going to turn you on. Which in this case, I think it's safe to say that most straight men, it's women or men, whatever it may be.
And not that I know the Bible or anything like that, but there's something inherently wrong with having dirty thoughts. If your thoughts go that way, not that something's wrong with you, but because, you know, like, see, because people think just because I notice boobies all the time that I always have dirty thoughts. Like, no, I technically no. It's like when I see them, I'm like, wow, boobies, because it's like it pops in my head, so I gotta say something about it. But it's not like when I don't see the boobies, I don't go, oh, booby, booby, boobies. No, it's only when I see them. Like if I see camel toe, I was like, holy crap, that's camel toe. She's like, doesn't she know? Like there's, you know what? So it's, and that's the thing. Oh God, maybe it's because I'm stupid. But if out of sight, out of mind, that's how I've always been. It's if I don't see it, I don't know about it. So if I don't see that drug addict, I don't think about it. I don't think about things that aren't right in front of me. And I don't know if that's
but here's the thing. I can't help but think that it may have a real cost, long-term cost to being able to formulate long-lasting relationships. You know, like we can think about, and here's the thing where we can dive into some other stuff. We can talk about like contraceptives, birth control, marriage and family courts to being the reason why the dissolution of
hold on
is one thing.
You're forgetting something. You literally said a couple of minutes ago how you'd be better off, more successful if you weren't thinking about porn or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not only does it stop you from dating, which is the last thing that you should be concerned with, what about other manly things you should be doing? Seriously, why not do things for economic growth, personal economic growth? Seriously, like,
that's what a lot of people who've reported when they kick their porn addictions, like, I mean, they kick their addictions out the door, and it's like, say they're married, they only have sex with their wives, they only do that. They're just like, no, this is how men are. Like, and that sounds fun, but it's true. Like, he was like, dude, I go hiking and I never went hiking. I go camping and I hated camping. It's almost like you go back to how your brain was originally programmed. And to be honest, some of us have been so hooked on porn for so many years, we don't know what that's like. What is it like to be in a state where you are actually, you're not even sexually frustrated. If you want sex with somebody, right? And this is just generally, like, I'm not here to talk about Christian beliefs. Like, if you want to go have sex with somebody, it's almost like that hunter mentality as a man.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, our gynocentric society preaches against that and calls that toxic masculinity. But the thing is,
I know those bitches.
Men need that. And I think that pornography has played a role in feminizing men. Because your testosterone goes down, and now nobody wants the pursuit of that. And then people are talking like, why is it so hard to develop and nurture real relationships? Why is it so difficult for men and women to get it? Because here's the thing. I can sit here and talk about the manly things that men can do if we just didn't have porn, right? I would probably go grow my own food. Like, with all the spare time I would learn to, like, plant and grow my own food and do things like that. And women have also reported the same things where, dude, it's not just a man problem here. Women are hooked on pornography too.
Really? Like, really?
Yes, I know. You're old-fashioned. You don't know this stuff. But women also have this problem as well. So that like lack of love, lack of trust, lack of even intimacy where you really feel it with between two people, not to get too overly romanticized about it, is gone because it's artificial now.
Yeah, but what do women like about porn? I don't get it.
I
They like
don't
the
know.
face
I'm not a woman. This
at
is
the
why
end,
we need a
money
woman's
shots.
perspective. But it's I don't think it's so much about the fact that they're getting off on it. I think porn is an escape for lonely behavior. It's an escape from stress and anxiety and all that. And like that's usually where it comes from. So some people who
Are there fat chicks now in porn? Or is everybody hot? Because I know like there was that one supermodel who's fat. And I'm thinking, is that how porn is now with a bunch of fat broads?
well, I don't think so. I think there's probably a category for that if you went searching for it. Dude, like there's all kinds of sick stuff on the internet now. You can find anything you want.
Well, you know, it's always been that way, but like the most famous porn stars, like they're all on Howard Stern.
Yeah.
And they're millionaires. But you know, I don't think you can make money making porn anymore. I think that's a thing of the past.
I think that to talk a little bit about the industry, a lot of girls who go into it have reported that their use, their shelf life. Now you're going to go into objectifying here. They even say this with their own words. Their shelf life is about 2 years.
Yeah, maybe a little bit longer. No, because you do know I used to run an organization, and it was huge. And
Oh man.
yeah, I mean, you know, but yeah, so I know a little bit about these things, as they say. Pimping ain't easy, but it was easy for me. But it's just how it works. But that's just.
How do you feel about this now? I mean, you used to do all kinds of crazy stuff in your past, and you're just like, no, it's not good for people.
Well, I mean, geez, Louise, I don't see how women can only have a 2-year shelf life. That's not real because you're young for at least 10 years.
I don't think it has anything to do with their youth. I think it has to do with just the availability of new, fresh talent all the time. That's
no, you know what it is?
About.
I bet you money. It's because, like in the old days, porn used to have a story, like a storyline. And then like Kim Kardashian came and what's that other one? Paris Hilton came. And when they did their, you know, just a sex tape, no story, no plot line, just, you know, it's very amateurish, as they say. And I think that's what it is. Nobody cares about the storylines anymore. It's just all about, you know, just, I don't know what it's all about, but I would just assume, and that's why. If that's what you're saying, there's too much supply, not enough demand. And nobody's demanding the old porn where there was a story like, oh yeah, I'm cleaning the pool, and then the pool boy comes or the pizza delivery guy comes and you know bangs the porn star, you know, the lonely housewife. I don't think that's in porn anymore. I think it's just straight up whatever RJ and Kim Kardashian style, just in a dirty motel and, you know, just amateur photos, you know, or, you know, photography. And if that's what porn is now, yeah, the industry's screwed because how are you going to make any money with that?
But you're right. You're right. I mean, it's the turn it's taking. But back to relationships, right? I think that this is very integral to even politics and our economic system, because you know how at least my generation doesn't value a lot of the things. You know, when we say doesn't value, I don't mean everybody, but things like hard work and, you know, really facing rejection and the difficulties of life. I think we can tie a real thing here because we have so many avenues for escapism now that we don't actually have to do anything. Like a lot of men out there, man, I don't know if you know this, are completely okay with just checking out completely, playing video games and watching pornography or using sex dolls. That's a real thing. And that's I know you're from an older generation, so I want to know what your take on that. Like,
well, I'm trying to look up my porn star friend. Like, I'm still in contact with her, but I'm trying to find her because, dude, her life is shit. And she's trying to make calendars. You know what I mean? So, and I'm thinking, that's not how you make money. You know, making calendars and yeah, just Yeah,
How are her relationships though? I can't imagine.
Oh God, no, she has kids. She lost her kids. You know what I mean? You know, the court took them. She lives way up in a city, like an hour past Sacramento, like a really small town. And you know, she struggles. But she was recently in a video with a very famous rapper out of Oakland. And you know, that doesn't pay any money. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And it made no sense to have her on the video because she could have been any random hot chick. You know, she's not doing anything in particular. So yeah, I don't see how porn is, you know, like you can't make money with porn. And if it's because of what you're saying, oh man, I feel like I should jump back in the industry and do something. Because look, you can make money with women. You just you know it's
yeah,
just,
but it ain't right. It ain't right though. You know this.
well, yeah, I mean, but man, I mean, when I see opportunity, but this is my hunter in me. Like the hunter in me is always about opportunities and making money. So when somebody brings up an opportunity to make money, because I'm telling you now, if that's how it is in porn, what you just described, holy, like there's a big gap in porn. So what I would do, I would gather up some of my old friends and just start doing some stuff, and I'd take over. I would be like the new porn king of California.
Yeah, but it ain't right, man. Let's talk about like some of the issues because we're trying to solve some of our societal problems here. I get that is the innate thing. Oh, we got to make money, but it's not right. I mean, like, here's the thing: the result here, back to relationships, is that it robs people of I think all of the natural things that I think for humans have been very, very commonplace. Like you had to work for stuff, right? And now it's like people don't even want to work for relationships anymore. It's just easier.
Well, see, but that's the issue. Let me go back to why porn is just straight up violence. That's the whole point. It went from an extreme where and I don't think there's a porn addiction. I think there is a lack of, man, like you're really hit on something here, but it's like it's the opposite. So if what you're saying about porn is true, that means, and the whole thing with dating apps and stuff like that, that means they're just doing it just so they could, you know, get that little 5 minutes of fame, or they feel like they're like one of those celebrities like Kim Kardashian or whatever, when it's just not real. Everything is fake. It's not so much that it's porn. It's because everybody's living this fake world where they're doing something for the camera. And I bet you money that's what everybody's doing. If girls are really doing this and all this stuff, it's because everybody's fake and nobody knows how to have a real conversation with somebody or just really understand what they like sexually. Like, seriously, do you know what you like sexually? Or is it based on what you've seen in porn?
I think it's probably artificially induced based on pornography. Unfortunately, that may be the case for not just myself, but for a lot of people. And
hold on. So you answer that question. So the next question, which might sound weird to a lot of people, but the next question would be, what do you want financially? Because sex and money go hand in hand when it comes to relationships. Because think about this. Why do men pay for dates? Oh my, but before you answer that question, do you pay for dates? Or do you go Dutch? Or split, and I mean splitting the bill 50-50.
Splitting the bill is more of my interactions than anything else.
No, that's wrong. See, that's why women like porn, if that's what's true. And I'll tell you why. See, now, the reason why men pay for dates is to show the woman that they can take care of you.
Yeah.
Just in case you get knocked up. Because think about this. If you are a woman and you get pregnant and you wreck your body, that is the ultimate price you are paying for that little dude. You know what I'm saying? So he better pay for your dates if you're going to destroy your body. Think about it. You're a hot chick. Oh God, there was a place called Great America. It's owned by
yeah, it's an amusement park.
Yeah, the same guys that own Knott's Berry Farm. I forgot the name of the company, but that company owns Great America. I was, there with my little child, and I heard this girl she was saying, oh, before my baby, I had a 6-pack and now it's gone. And I'm telling you, women go through this. When they wreck their bodies and get all these stretch marks and stuff like that, there is no payoff. There is no payoff for these women who have these kids, out of wedlock or whatever, because look, this dude who didn't pay for your date is now, he's got his 6-pack, he's all buff and yoked and moved on to the next woman, where you are just some fat, ugly chick with stretch marks on your saggy boobs and stuff like that. That's just what happens to women when they have kids. And, so if a woman doesn't have enough respect for herself to make that guy pay for sex, for, with the dates and everything else, and she's willing to destroy her body just for 5 minutes of fun, or 10 minutes, or an hour if you're really good. Come on. Are you kidding me? You don't pay for dates, and then you're wondering why people don't have relationships, because that's what relationships are. The men have to take care of their women. It's not, and I get it. Women can make much money, but that's not how it works. A man by nature has to take care of people.
Right.
And if you don't do that, come on, how do you show it now? What, you going to go kill a duck and give it to her? That's not how we do it in modern.
Men have given up, man. Men don't even want to deal with this.
But is that what porn is doing? See, masturbating is bad, because I'm telling you, being horny keeps your mind on keeps your eye on the ball, because it's like, like for fighting, everybody tells you no sex when you're training for all those months, sex, masturbating, nothing. Why? Because it keeps you focused. That's just like dating. When you want a chick, when you want a woman, you got to stay focused. If you masturbate, release your load or whatever, guess what? You lost focus. Your focus is gone. You don't know how to, and not just you don't want that chick anymore, but you lost your focus in how to make money. And how to make money is going to determine how your mate is. The better you are with money, the better selection you have between the women. I don't care how rich that woman is. I don't care how rich that woman is. She wants a man to be comparable with her or better. I would name any billionaire woman, Oprah Winfrey, who dates somebody under her. Oprah's not married. Because
it doesn't happen. We know this. We know this in the manosphere, where women date up. They marry up. They don't date down.
They don't. Very few women. If women do that, it's very few. And they've been scammed, and they probably inherited that money. It's the richest women in the world either inherited that money or they got it through divorce.
Wait, are you being serious here?
Come on, think about that.
That's some abrasive statements there.
Women so the only women that off the top of my head that can honestly not say that is Oprah and Martha Stewart. Other than that, come on, who else? Michelle Obama? Hell no. She is rich now because of her husband.
Or book sales.
Because of her. Nobody would care about her if it wasn't for her husband. Name any woman that is, rich.
Hillary Clinton.
Paris Hilton. Hillary, come on.
I know I'm messing with you. I just wanted to see your reaction.
Yeah, that's my reaction. Come on.
But I think that what Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton did was they basically took women's looks on overdrive, and they taught millions of women since then to capitalize on their
Okay,
look.
but here's the thing. Paris Hilton got her money from her parents.
Oh, yeah.
Kim Kardashian got her money from her parents. She didn't. But what's impressive about both of them is that, just like Donald Trump, they took their inheritance and turned it into a billion-dollar industry. So Trump, he inherited $200 million, and he turned that $200 million into billions. Same thing with Kim Kardashian. So you have to tip her hats off, because when her dad died, she got a really hefty inheritance. She did. And she was able to parlay that into some successful businesses. Well, her mom did. So her mom got her girls, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing. The richest women in the world all did it through, not all of them, but I would say 95%.
Through men? Is that what?
Well, through inheritance or divorce. It's that simple. I mean, because look at the Waltons, the people who own Walmart. all those women are billionaires, but they inherited their money. Their entire family did. But the person who built it was a man.
It's always a man who built it.
Yeah, but that's because they don't masturbate. They don't play with their dicks all day. They don't. Or penises. They don't do that. And that's the thing. It's like, and I get it because everybody always tells me, oh, it's you bang a lot, so you don't have a need for it. But that's not true. Even if I wasn't having sex, I wouldn't do it because I got a lot of things to do. Like, seriously, I have a lot of things to do. Like, the counselor gets a little upset that I got to do this every day because I got a lot of things to do.
She's upset that we're doing this right now. I thought she was encouraging this.
No, she is, but she would like it better if we did it at night when the courts are closed. No, because the courts are open at this time, and in theory, I was working on this thing on one of these docket thingies, and anyway, but it doesn't matter. But that's my thing. It's like you'd be shocked at what people can honestly do, and but I want to backtrack to what we were saying about this whole thing about porn. It's amazing how, and I believe everybody is addicted to it because it's readily available. Like when I first saw it, it was on 8mm, on one of those reel-to-reel 8mm. You got to insert the thing, and it was like a projector. It was 8mm.
By the time you set up the projector, the mood's faded already. You don't even care anymore.
No, we're at 8. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh God, and then Jesus, and it kind of like one of the guys there, he turned gay, and that might have been something to that.
Okay, really now? He turned gay because of porn?
Well, maybe because it's kind of weird to look at another dude. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just a weird, like I never had to shower in front of other guys or nothing like that. I never did any of that stuff. I never had gym.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It was just, I honestly don't know why people turn gay, but I would think that watching porn would be a little gay. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, it's just, but I honestly don't know because, I've seen porn and I don't know. It's just not my thing, but I believe it's not anybody's thing. I think it's something that you get addicted to and it leads to violence. And if it doesn't lead to violence, then like what you're going through would be the other end of the spectrum, which is really bizarre.
Well, I think for me, the problem here, not violent behavior, but for me, it's lack of productivity and I guess an inability to really form fulfilling long-term relationships, which is changing because I'm like cutting it out completely. But
here's the thing. Like when people think of violent behavior, they only think of like throwing fists, throwing hands. But I you could be violent in a lot of different ways. Like I believe porn leads to passive aggressive behavior. And that's probably more destructive than just hitting somebody right in the face.
Yeah, because it's kind of just like it's implicit, and you're just like, what was that, man? Why are you acting like this? You know what I mean? Like dealing with passive aggressiveness is like worse than just somebody who's going because at least we can address it. It's like, all right, I get it, man. He's like, okay, I feel better now. But passive aggressiveness is like that bitterness, right? That festers, and then it just kind of builds up over time.
And they're scheming and just horrible.
It's like it's death by 1,000 cuts. That's the thing.
And that would explain a lot of women's behavior, like these kids. Well, not kids, but people your age. Like a lot of young women your age. They're all passive aggressive. And I'm thinking, shit, now that answers some questions. They're watching freaking porn.
Yeah.
God, I never would have guessed that in a million years.
But that's why we have these discussions is to come to some of these conclusions. They may not be absolutely 100%, the case. But here's the thing. I know this. I know that it has cost me relationships, and it's like I'm decent with women. I think I would be even better without it. Like so I try to think about it in terms of like if I got rid of it, I would probably have like 10 books written by now. You know what I mean? It frees you up. It's not like people are saying like, well, you're not spending 6 hours a day watching porn. It's not that. It's the fact that it limits you. Like, you know what I mean? And the discipline of not doing it. And there's ways to do it, right? It's just difficult, but you really got to focus. Like the discipline of cutting it out. It's like once you learn that, imagine what you could accomplish. You know what I mean? People are just saying things like, dude, I go to the gym now, or I actually appreciate little things in life. And I know a dude who flat out told me he cured his depression. This guy had been depressed for like 10 years. And turns out, not that it was just rooted in mental illness, but he's like, he stopped watching porn. He's not depressed anymore.
Yeah, well, okay. So depression is natural. We need to be depressed in order to know that something's wrong in your life.
Okay, not like depressing in that sense, but he developed coping skills to deal with it easier. Maybe that's a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
We all experience our lows, but how you recover, right? You're not digging a mental abyss in your head where you end up blowing your brains out like a lot of these young people now. It's not because their lives are tough. Like, people are killing themselves. Okay, react to this. People are killing themselves and killing other people because they're not getting laid.
No, I think they're idiots. I don't think it's not because they're not getting laid. Like all of those, like that one dude that killed all them gay guys, he was getting laid. And like them kids in Columbine, were they getting laid? Yeah, with they call them fag hags. So, but those type of girls. So it wasn't like they weren't having sex. But dude, I want to go back to what you were saying about you not slaying chicks. Because dude, that's important to cover. If you wrote 10 books, I guarantee you would not be getting laid because you'd be too busy writing books. Because like when you write and stuff, it really does take a lot of time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, because I hate to say things like this, but I did have a lot of sex, and if I did have a chance to go back, I probably would have stayed a virgin all the way until I got married, which would be
coming
like
from you is
35 years. Because I know it's when I was productive and having like high powered jobs or finishing school or whatever it is, it's when I wasn't having sex. I was good at sports when I wasn't having sex. I was good at education when I wasn't having sex. And so yeah, if you're going to be writing books, you're not going to be having sex because you're not going to have time. But you got nothing to worry about. If you really wanted to go after women and stuff like that, dude, all you got to do is just go out to the bar or go out to the club and then you take somebody home every single night or weekend if you chose to do that. That's how simple it is to date. It has nothing to do with anything. You are talking about having a real relationship with somebody.
Right.
So the only way relationships work is if you are building something with somebody. You have to build something with something. Like, you just can't bang abroad and then you go, okay, I'm going to work and you're going to work and expect that to be a good relationship. If she's not a part of what you're doing, there is no way she is going to support you in this. It's just not. You know what I mean? You're going to have two separate lives and then come home and then bang. That's not a relationship. She has to be somehow tied into what you're doing or give you the push or the directions to go. She's telling you where to go. That's what relationships are. It's just not like, in 1950 where the woman just stayed home and raised the kids. That's not, I mean, but if she will do that for you, then you have a good relationship. But that's not, times have changed. So you guys have to be working together. So you have to learn how to take care of the kids with her and, and do all that stuff together where everybody's still making money, blah, blah, blah. And that's what you still haven't figured that out yet. Or maybe you have, but you just haven't said it. Because if you're not writing a book with another woman in your dude, because come on, when you're writing your book, leave me alone. What? And you guys are fighting. you know what I mean? So it's like there has to be some give and take. So
it's just that I've also, it's not that I've subscribed to any one ideas, but men are just fed up with women. Right now, a lot of young women, they don't know how to deal with them, and they're just like fed up. A lot of men have just decided that it's just better to just do your own thing play video games or work on yourself. I think that work.
Yeah, that's what they do. They play video games. I'm thinking, Jesus, that's worse than jacking off. I mean, I like my video games, but you know.
Yeah, but we're talking these people do it 12, 14 hours a day. Some people get paid to do it, but some people are just, for a lot of folks, it's escape behavior. Like video games to them is also one of their addictions because it's an escape from what they may be going through in life. And I think that that's the real thing here is that these behaviors, right? I guess we don't really find ways to talk about them in a way where it's like they get the same kind of emphasis somebody who has a crack addiction has. But the effects on your brain long term are going to creep up. And the thing is, it's like I think that after years of pornography use, it's like I don't even remember like my life without it. And that's a problem. And I'm going to change that, you know? So
Well, hold on. Before you change your life, you got to think about this. There's two people that come to mind. One, Tiger Woods, and two, Mike Lindell.
okay,
I don't know.
explain.
The guy from the My Pillow commercials.
Yeah.
He was literally on Mark Levin's show yesterday talking about his crack addiction.
Yeah.
He was on crack. He owned a bar for 13 years. He was doing cocaine, you know, obviously an alcoholic. He owned a bar for 13 years successfully. And he started doing like, I don't know why, but he started doing crack cocaine.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, he was running My Pillow, all kinds of crazy stuff. And, but for some odd reason, I guess God protected him. That's what he said. Seriously. I mean, who's to argue with that? And he didn't become born again until like a year ago. And he said something about, like, I don't know about these things, but he totally surrendered his life. But, you know, to Jesus, something like that. And
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, he was on crack for a long time. And he was, and this is why people celebrate these kind of people, because they're called a functional addict.
Yeah.
So, and Tiger Woods was addicted to porn and porn stars and just banging everybody. I mean, that's why he's celebrated, because when his wife, who got over $100 million in a divorce, think about it.
Wow.
Tiger Woods' ex-wife got $100 million for just banging him. What was she going to do beforehand? Tiger Woods went to Stanford. She went to some godforsaken school in Florida and became a quote-unquote model. She did nothing with her life other than give.
You talking about the Swedish lady that he was married to?
Yeah, her. She did nothing with her life, and she got over $100 million. There was no way she was going to make $100 million as a model. But anyway,
she got $100 million from the divorce from Tiger Woods.
Yep, and she knew how he was because she was banging him. Can you imagine banging a dude that was like Tiger Woods with all that crap in his head? You know what I mean? With whatever it is that, because I you know, like a lot of my friends, they did porn and things like that. And trust me, it ain't pretty what they got. And so knowing that her husband's doing that, I know she had to go through some stuff that normal women don't go through, but she knew who he was. You know what I mean? She knew he was worth a lot of money. So she did it. And as soon as the time was right, she went crazy, tried to run him over, beat him up with some golf clubs. And that was like the end of Tiger Woods. When that happened, he never won anything. Maybe he might have won one or two after his divorce, but then he had back surgery, bad knees. But then a lot of that, I have to believe, stems from the breakdown of his marriage and
the death of his father too. I think I remember when his father died.
Well, his dad died, but he still was focused. It was after he got exposed for, oh, dude, like. Yeah. There was the women that were just
the women, yeah, and he got dropped from a lot of his sponsors.
Yeah, he lost his sponsors, dude, because of what the women were saying. It was, dude, like they were saying some stuff about Tiger Woods, you know, and how aggressive he was, and just.
Well, that's what women do, and I hate to say it like that, but think about, you know,
that was the first Me Too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just like you have to present a case where the man obviously was not being good to you, and then you get a lot of his money in a separation agreement. You know, it only works against you if you talk about how good he was. And, if there's something I've learned from men who unfortunately have been through the ringer, they say that women have no incentive to behave on the way out the door. And in fact, if they want money from you, you really think they're going to leave you a letter of recommendation about what a good man you were?
Yep. Well, see, but here's the thing. That's crazy what you just said. That's no, because it's true. It's like, man, it's like, well, I mean, because like there's a lot of good women, there's a lot of bad women, but a lot of women, they want to get rich, and instead of doing it the old-fashioned way, earning it like Sarah Breedlove did, well, hundreds of years ago, they want to take the shortcut, and I believe that's part of like the whole progressive movement is ensuring. Because think about this. Tiger Woods could have been a very powerful political person if he really truly wanted to. But, because of the porn, because of, trust me, pornography is a very progressive ideology. The reason why
conservatives have denounced it since the beginning. I mean, and now it's more mainstream, but like,
But it destroys societies. It really does. And I know firsthand how it destroys people, but it's in reality, it's not good. I mean, in theory, the best way to go, just get married, don't have sex. It ain't that great. I mean, it's good, but it's about as good as anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could eat food and it's just as good. Maybe not as fun, but you know what I mean? Agreed. It's still satisfying. Yeah. Because it's about how satisfied you are versus the fun factor. Fun factor is not really satisfying. It doesn't leave you content. And like people need to be taught how to be content and satisfied versus just being horny and just acting on that. But anyway, going back to this whole Tiger Woods thing, he won the Masters yesterday. It was insane to see those crowds just running after him, and young people who have no idea. Like, I don't even know if they even remember, how he was in his 20s, because I don't think they were born yet. But everybody knows what he's been through.
Right.
And I think that's why everybody really wanted to, well, not women, but like all the guys I knew wanted him to win, because it was the total redemption story. It's like, you got publicly shamed for just being a man, and he's back on top for being a man again. And that's to be celebrated. And I think that's why people really were drawn to him. I don't hear too many women talking about it, but like all the dudes are like, fucking Tiger came back. He came back, Tiger came back, because, everybody was kind of living vicariously through him. Everybody kind of wants to have all those hot broads, swooning over you. Like he was playing golf somewhere in Europe, and this is a long time ago, like when he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
That's a hot, long-legged blonde lady came in a thong bikini and just gave him a hug on the golf course.
It's like when you're worth close to $1 billion, these women don't care. They abandon class. They abandon everything. I hate to say it like that, but here's the thing. The guy is worth close to $1 billion. Probably makes 100
more.
Well, okay, but
he was.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was.
Makes 100 million a year. Just think about more money than you could ever make.
He had more money than Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
No, seriously, he was.
I know. I'm aware. Yeah.
Yeah, he was worth a boatload of money, and he lost it all. He threw that stupid divorce, and because he had to pay child support, which was odd. You just gave somebody $100 million, and you're going to tell me they can't raise a kid or two?
So what does his ex-wife do? I mean, this is where men are just like, divorce. What is she doing now? But
well, I'd be interested to see what all those Me Too people think. Like, seriously, it's like, gosh, because,
well, he didn't abuse her, did he?
Well, I mean, it just depends on what you consider abuse. So, I don't think so. I think that's part of being a wife. If you marry a kinky dude, that's just how it works. And I think all these women had nothing to complain because they all knew what they were getting in. Dude, he had to pay all those women. He had to pay not just his wife, but those 13 women that came forward and all this other stuff. Oh man, it was something. I'm telling you. Well, I'm glad he came back from that. I really do, because I thought that was it. I thought he was going to be another OJ or Rick James or something, because they make a lot of money and then they just blow it on women because
I mean, OJ is a separate thing. A lot of people don't believe that he killed those people, two people. Oh, by the way, speaking of OJ, you talked about Kim Kardashian. That's how.
Because Rob Kardashian represented him. Because I'm telling you, people don't realize how Rob Kardashian was one of the best attorneys. Effie Bailey, Johnny Cochran, and Rob. You
know lawyers because you work in the field.
Yeah. I work with that. I'm a legal consultant. So yeah, it's insane how these attorneys. I mean, they are like, gosh darn it. People have to think like those guys in order. Like, if people thought like them all the time, we'd be okay. But see, people don't know how to think. And I think that's what happens with sex. Because sex was my business, I was always thinking about things like that. So my thinking faculties were always on. Mm-hmm. But if you're just watching porn, come on, they're telling you how to think, just like TV. If you're reading a newspaper, they're thinking for you, because when you read like something like, because at the beginning of the show or the podcast, you mentioned how the Washington Post said something. But if you break down what they write, you'll see things like maybe or possibly. Whenever you see those words, that's not a fact. You're supposed to be reporting the facts.
Maybe, possibly, probably, allegedly, which is the big word that gets people in trouble. Allegedly. Can you imagine? That's how men are victimized, unfortunately, is that crazy word allegedly. It's like, what the hell does that mean?
and then when they're wrong, then they try to joke it off. Like, that's what SNL's for. See, the regular media, they do all this stuff, and then SNL is just to, downplay the mistakes. Because I think they had a skit the other day where all of these people were in prison, and they were talking about the first thing they said, since the Mueller incident was a big fat zero, MSNBC is now going to start talking about prison movies again. And because I don't watch MSNBC, so I guess they do a lot of prison shows. So in Chino, the prison Chino, they had all of these people in prison, and it was a stupid SNL skit. But anyway, that's the point. The point is, people don't know how to think. And because people don't know how to individually think and think for themselves, well, they get addicted to all kinds of stuff. Like, I knew that I had an addictive personality because, in theory, I'm probably addicted to fornicating. Not so much sex, but just the act of fornicating. There's a difference. That's why I was with so many women, not because I wanted a relationship, but because I was addicted to it. Mm-hmm. Probably. I mean, I don't know why I did it so much. I got nothing out of it. I mean, I really didn't. I mean, I didn't get any money.
Right.
I didn't. I wasn't getting paid. They're not my friends. I don't know who these people are. Like, seriously, if you were to ask me who these women were, if they accused me of anything, I would have no idea. I do not remember these people, and I just don't remember any of them. So there was no point to any of that. So I really wasn't thinking, but I was thinking when it was the business end. I was thinking, because to make money, you have to understand psychology and behavioral sciences, because that's what business is. Right? I don't care what business it is. You have to think about how to get them to give you money for your services. And there's other people doing the same thing you're doing. So you have to outdo them. You have to outthink them. Your marketing plan, which is nothing but psychology, has to be better than theirs, your competition. So, if you don't know how to think, you're not going to succeed in life. I don't care what it is, but everything is tied to your ability to think as an independent person. And when you do media, whether it's porn or reading a newspaper, they train you how not to think. That's why they use those words like maybe, if. They always say if. I always trip out on how often like a real newspaper will use the word if. Right. If this happens, I don't care about what if this happens. I want to know specifically what happened. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know the future possibilities.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And I think that that's something that we need to be better about when it comes to information. I just want to quickly wrap up this show and then I'll stop the recording. But the thing is, I think that we can safely say that with the examples with pornography and addictive behavior, I think overall it's just something that we're going to have to continue a discussion on, because for me personally, I'm aiming to cut it out of my life completely, because I can only imagine how productive and how much better off I would be. And also just being able to discipline myself, because it's everywhere. The thing is everywhere and it's destroying relationships. And I hope that more people hear this so that they can, not that, it's going to dissuade you from doing anything, but it'll cause you to think for a second,
Well, but so if everything you said was true, that young people don't date, like they're not having sex or whatever, it's because they forgot how to think. If that's the moral of this podcast, every single person needs to learn how to think and think for themselves. And then once that happens, they'll be able to find meaningful relationships. Because, dude, it took me like 50 years to find a meaningful relationship.
But you're there now. You are. Yeah.
And because, it's not about making money. It's about the relationships you make. And I think the friends you have is more powerful than the money you're going to have. Because I'm telling you now, Tiger Woods wouldn't be where he's at now if it wasn't for his friends that backed him on all this.
That's true.
You need friends people. When everybody's against you, when you're reading all that negativity about you.
Yeah.
And they don't know anything about you, but they're still, it's a perception. Oh, he's a bad guy because he made this waitress do it in the butt. That was literally made up.
Yeah, it was made up. No, absolutely. And that's why you need that integrity with people. But yeah, no, that's a good thought, and it's a good way to kind of close out this episode of the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Again, my name is Zach King. I got Professor Dreg with me. We're talking about, being able to think for yourself, and imagine just how much more focused you'd be when you don't have something like pornography that basically lowers your testosterone and takes you off the ball. So stay focused, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this podcast. We'll talk to you soon.